On Monday, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau invoked the Emergencies Act in response to, well, apparently peaceful trucker protests against his, again, apparently tyrannical and nonsensical COVID vaccine mandates. This was a historic act, as Trudeau is the first ever Prime Minister to invoke the act and the first ever to invoke the act against Canadian protesters. In response to Trudeau's unprecedented actions, Kenney, the Premier of Alberta, Canada, launched a court challenge to the government's invocation of the Emergencies Act. Premier Kenney made the announcement on Saturday night as he called Trudeau's actions unnecessary, disproportionate, violates natural justice, well, I don't know what that means, intrudes into provincial jurisdiction, and creates a dangerous precedent.
The federal government's invocation of the Emergencies Act is an unnecessary and disproportionate measure that can violate civil liberties, invades provincial jurisdiction, and creates a very dangerous but precedent for the future. And it's not necessary, as we've demonstrated here in Alberta at Coots and Ontario did at the Windsor Ambassador Bridge. Provincial law enforcement authorities are able to deal with illegal road blockades. And let's be clear, the rule of law must be applied. Law and order must prevail, regardless of the cause that people stand for. Folks in this country have the right peacefully and lawfully to protest. And I encourage people who feel strongly about vaccine mandates, public health restrictions, to do just that legally and peacefully. So the question then is, why does the federal government, using a power that is not necessary to seize bank accounts and assets, for example, from people arbitrarily, extrajudicially, without court orders based on their opinions or who they've donated to, powers really designed to interrupt things like terrorist financing? It doesn't make sense. That's why Alberta and 6 other provinces have spoken out against invocation of the Federal Emergencies Act. I've said that clearly to the Prime Minister a week ago. We've written to him underlining our reasons for opposing the Emergencies Act. And now I can announce that Alberta will be filing a court challenge to the Government of Canada's invocation of the Emergency Act. We will also be considering applying as an intervener to support the Canadian Civil Liberties Association and the Canadian Constitution Foundation. So we need to take action to defend, yes, the law and order, but also civil liberties and our Constitution in Canada. Alberta will be doing just that.
CTV attacked Premier Kenney for supporting the truckers, and well, Kenney put the reporter in his place.
You have voiced support for truckers who are against the vaccine mandate in the past. Obviously, that was one of the triggers of this protest. Do you take any responsibility for giving credibility to the organizers who said, hey, this is great, we've got people like Premier Kenney, we can do this, and now you've been swallowed by the very beast you fed?
No, come on, Evan. I think the shoe has to be on the other foot. The Prime Minister adopted a policy with the trucker vax mandate that has no compelling public health rationale. We have tens of millions of active Omicron infections across North America. The idea that a few thousand unvaccinated truckers, who might test negative, by the way, crossing the border in their cabs in isolation somehow constitute a public health menace is ridiculous. It's bad public health theater. He provoked this situation. He's added fuel to the fire by essentially calling all of the protesters Nazis. And I think this has been a failure of leadership on the part of Ottawa, to be honest with you. I make no apologies for stating our view, which I did before these protests began.
Well, we would like to know your thoughts and responses. Share them in the comments down below, and also share this news and support us through subscribing to our channel. Stay tuned for the real stuff on Next News Hour.